Hello, everybody out there in Panther Country. This is Superintendent Tim Whitaker coming to you with Vodcast number 14. And this is, my guest today is elementary music teacher Melanie Nuemann. Welcome, Melanie.
Hi, Tim. I'm glad to be here.
Let's start out by just maybe telling the viewers a little bit about your background.
So I went to, I grew up in Somerset, so I'm local from the area, graduated from there and went to UW River Falls. Spent about 6 years at UW River Falls and now have 3 certifications in K-12 elementary, general music, choral music, and instrumental music. So that's kind of my background there. My family is still in Somerset, so I still get up there quite a bit and see them. I have my parents are up there, Brenda and Wayne, and then my 2 sisters, Emily and Abby. Emily actually is a pharmacist at Westfields in Richmond, and then Abby does daycare in Somerset. So we get to talk elementary age children quite a bit.
That's good. That's good. So Melanie, why did you decide to choose a career in music education?
This is always a long story, so I'll try to keep it short. It basically boils down to my sophomore year of high school, and I was in band and I was in choir and I was always active and involved. And my sophomore year of high school was when our band director told us he wasn't going to be our band director anymore. He was part-time curriculum and part-time band director, and he had decided to go to full-time curriculum director that year. And it was in that moment, I think, that I realized how influential he'd been on my life. And I was like, oh, I got to do this. So that's actually when I decided to be a high school band director. And obviously that's not where I wound up, but that was the initial choice. And that was my sophomore year of high school. And so it's kind of crazy that I'm still in music education. So many people change their majors so many times through college. And the only thing I did was when I was student teaching in elementary music, that's when I said, oh my goodness, these guys are great. And never really looked back.
Yeah, it brings me back, reminds me, I started out as an engineer in engineering and then math because I had to for the scholarship I had, and kind of hit a wall and defaulted to my passion and ended up as physical education and health, which is a lot different than math and engineering.
It's a big jump.
Yeah, which, I tell my kids and students the same thing. Everybody's path is different, but basically follow your heart and your head, and it'll lead to the right places. So that's why you chose a career in music education. What led you to SCC? Maybe talk a little bit about your professional start and then what led you to SCC.
I was trying to think about this earlier, and it's such a round path that kind of always circled SCC. It is for only a few years of my life that I didn't live in St. Croix County, and seeing that half of River Falls is in St. Croix County, I don't know that counts. But I've always kind of been around, and even, in high school, I still have great memories every time I drive into the high school of my friend who got stuck in the snowbank right in front of the sign to St. Croix Central High School at a wrestling meet once and locked her keys in the car and drive, and it was pretty funny. But that was, it was a while back, but that every time I drive in, I still remember that. And so that's really fun for me. I started off in Baldwin. The year I graduated from River Falls, there was one job in the county in music, and that was the job in Baldwin. So of the 7 of us who graduated from River Falls with music ed degrees that year, I'm the only one who got to stay in the county. 2 of them went into Minnesota, 2 went to Alaska, and then a couple farther in the state. But I was the only one who got to stick around. And so I spent 7 years in Baldwin. But when I went looking for houses a couple years back, almost 5 years now, and everything else, I just never, I liked it there, but it was never where I felt like I was home. So I ended up buying a house in Hammond. So then when this job opened, I was like, to live in the same neighborhood as my students and to really get to spend time with them and know them, I couldn't pass it up. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of my students, and some days I can't even get my mail without hearing my name being yelled down the street. But it's wonderful to have that relationship and connection with them.
Yeah, I can relate. Obviously you work with my wife, Mindy, at the elementary, and everywhere we go, just elementary kids looking at her and waving,
Oh, yeah.
hugging. It's really neat.
It's gotten really hard now, though, because at this point, I've only been here, this is my second year, and I had 7 years in Baldwin. So when I hear my name now, I don't know what school they're from all the time. Because it'll be both, or I'll have to explain to my sister, okay, that first one was from Baldwin, these next two were St. Croix Central, and then that last one was Baldwin. Because to her, she's like, how are all these people here from your school? And I'm like, well, actually, it's 2 schools now, so they could be from anywhere now. So it's thousands of kids at this point already, 9 years into my career.
And what's unique in your curriculum, you see every student in the school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you know a lot of kids.
So it doesn't take much for those numbers to really build over the years.
Right. So talking about bringing it back to SCC last year, what just kind of give us your impressions or take us through what your first year was like here at SCC last year.
I think it helped that I wasn't on my first year of teaching. But to walk in to such a warm environment, I always felt like I could ask anyone anything. Not that I always needed to, but that I could if I needed to. The kids were so welcoming. They were really, they loved their last teacher, but they accepted me anyway and have come to love me as well, which is really great. There were some days that I'd wake up and go, this is real. Like the classroom that I walked into is fully stocked with many classroom instruments that I would never have dreamed of having before. Jeannie did a great job of building up her instrument supply year after year to have a classroom set of basically everything that's in there. So to have 25 piano keyboards that the kids can practice on, and all have their own station and not have to share and not have to fight over it. It's a wonderful situation to walk into, but also to be able to say, okay, that's not how I do this, so can I change this? And have everybody just jump on board and sure, yeah, great. How do you do that again? Oh, that sounds cool. So it's been wonderful. I love it. And
you have one of the best rooms in the whole building too, with all them windows.
I do.
Best views. Yeah.
It is funny on days when it's really sunny outside and it hasn't been for a while, and the kids are trying to see something on the smart board, and they'll say, "Can you turn off the lights?" And I'm like, "Well, they are off. That's the sun."
Right.
But it's amazing to have these beautiful windows.
So what do you tell them? No, I cannot turn off the sun.
Well, I said, look up. Are they on? And they go, oh. So it's pretty funny.
So I know it's only been 17 months, but I like to ask all my guests this question. Talk about your journey. What has been the journey from 17 months ago until now? I know you touched on it a little bit, but would you like to elaborate?
Oh, can I journey back farther?
Sure,
to the
absolutely.
Beginning of my career. So when I first started, you go through all these classes and everyone says, oh, this is going to prepare you for what it's like. And then you student teach and realize that's not what the world is like at all. And when I first started teaching, I was really pulled many directions. This person wanted me to use only the textbooks, and this person wanted me to use only this catalog, and I didn't know where to go. And so I started falling back on what my elementary music experience was like, because that's what I remembered. And my first concert was a bunch of songs put together with a common theme, because that's what I did in elementary school. And I realized that that's not where these kids are anymore. We've come so far from when I was in kindergarten, and we didn't even learn to read until first grade, and now these kids are learning in kindergarten, and just their ability to do things together as a team is so much. They're so much more capable than I think we thought when we were kids, and so then I started turning their concerts into mini plays, and then each year my plays. I don't like to, I don't know, I like to outdo myself. I can't just settle for, oh, that was great, let's just do that again. So every year I keep trying to one up myself, which I think does kind of stress other people out around me, because they're like, wait, you're looking for what? Like, I have a teepee in my classroom right now that we're using for the 4th grade play, because, why not? So it kind of, I'm always constantly one-upping myself. Nothing is ever the same, which I think for someone looking from the outside starts to confuse them. Like, but you didn't do this last year. Well, I know, but they should have a chance, so let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. Well, we weren't going to do it anyway. Then you wouldn't have gotten it. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a really broad progression of my journey, I think, but it's pretty consistent. You meet people who have access to things. You go, oh, we could use that, and then you just up it again and again. Oh, so and so said they could help with, making this item. Oh, well, then my play is going to have a moving train. Why not?
So I gotta admit, when you said TP, I thought it was short for toilet paper, and then I realized you're talking about a Native American dwelling.
Native American teepee. Yeah, no, it's in my storage room right now. Mm-hmm.
And you said a couple things that I love. Number one, having high expectations, or one-upping and constantly reaching, mm-hmm. and setting the bar high. And I love to hear that, because I see that over and over. We don't underestimate our kids. We set the bar high, and they consistently achieve that and meet that benchmark. And you're right, they are capable of so much, and I love that we challenge them.
And exceed.
Yeah,
they are just,
good point.
Even when I think I'm setting the bar high. Like today I had first graders in here, and I'm trying to show them how to play the piano keyboards, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like, how do you teach a classroom full of kids, Mary Had a Little Lamb and Hot Cross Buns, when they're all individually working? And by the end of class, they were asking, hey, can I write one too? And they pulled out paper and they started writing them up the way I had written it, but writing their own songs. And I was like, wow, we were like a month away from that. Okay, I guess we're not a month away from that. Let's go.
And the other thing is, talked about the kids setting the bar high, but you are an example of one of the many staff here that self-reflect and set the bar high for themselves, which I just wanted to point out, and then obviously incredibly pleased with and proud of. So kudos.
Thank you. I try.
And then the other thing you just talked about, which is amazing, I think is worth talking about, is the fact that, you have classrooms, individual classes, so up to 6 sections per grade level that you work with and practice with, but you do that if individual classes, and then you bring them together collectively as a whole for your concerts. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I actually have a concert coming up in February 16th is the 4th grade play, and it gets crazy in here, because every day each class gets to a different spot. Some class might struggle on the first song, the next class might get through 3 before they hit a rough spot. So they're now at the point where when they come in, I say, okay, did we hit the song? Did we not? Because I don't remember, and I write it down, but I write it down an hour later. So it's like, okay, did I write it in the right spot? For the most part, it works out pretty good. But they're all working on, it's called Go West. It's a westward expansion of the United States. It's about the gold rush. And so they're putting together 8 songs in class. And then I have kids after school putting together the speaking parts, and there's some dancing, and there's a singing group that's just 11 kids that are singing together. And it's a lot of a lot of balls in the air. It's a lot of juggling. It's a lot of writing things down. Okay, what did we do here? What did we do there? But when they bring it all together, you would think that they'd practice together the whole time. And they really, already, our first week of practice, I think it was our second night, the first week of practice, and Mrs. DeSalvo is my co-director for the 4th grade play. And they finished singing, and she goes, "Holy cow, these kids can sing." And I said, "I know, and they've only sang that song twice." So imagine how much better it's going to get by the 16th.
That's amazing. Yeah.
We've got a really talented 4th grade class this year.
There are 120 4th graders out for that play, correct?
Somewhere around there. The number keeps, fluctuating up and down, but it's about 120 out of a class of 145.
Yeah.
So it's already a big class. Last year we had less kids in the grade level last year than we have kids participating this year, if that makes sense. But
yep.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see them do it though, because they find their niche. I've got 50 kids on the set crew this year because they don't want to be up front and in the spotlight, but they want to be part of it, which means we're going to be making some bigger things this year.
It's great. Yeah, a great experience, another great opportunity that our district provides for kids. And I know that, you have about 120 because it's on tonight's board agenda to get another staff person to help. 2 people supervising.
A lot of kids for 2 people. So
Right.
That'll be great to have a 3rd person. It'll still be a lot of kids, but I think they're working so hard that I think it's completely within their capabilities to do it.
So I know for that or for a concert, how many times do you get to practice or do like a dress rehearsal? Like a concert maybe is different, but for concerts, like a music concert, the first time they all perform together, is that the day of the concert?
Sometimes that happens, but lately I've been really fortunate. The other specialists that I share my rehearsal time with, that we all have class at the same time, they'll usually give me 2 days before the concert that they won't have class so that I can have the kids, and they'll come help supervise. And so we'll do it breaks down to, it's an hour class, but by the time we get everybody up there and situated, it's about 45 minutes of rehearsal that we'll get twice before the concert.
Okay.
So they at least know where they're standing when they get in there.
So next thing I want to talk about is how music impacts student development. And I know you learned, I'm sure, things in your education and maybe reading and research and things like that. So maybe talk a little bit about that, but more importantly, your own personal kind of reflection on how you see music impacting the elementary age kids.
Absolutely. That there are studies out there that show how music can create new pathways in the brain. It helps with math. It helps with all of these, scientific type studies. But of course, I'm not a scientist. I'm a music teacher. So that's not what I grasp onto. I see the confidence that it builds in kids and the self-esteem that it builds in kids. And that the music room is a place that you can play something and be completely wrong and have that be okay. You don't have to be perfect on your first tryout. So it's a place for them to try and to not be afraid to fail and to just learn that, we all have moments. And, the third time I hit a wrong note, they all kind of laugh and go, okay, yeah. So we all make mistakes and it's not a big deal. And then we move on. And just even watching kids improvise on instruments and making up their own song, or today when they were making their own piano pieces, all of a sudden with these first graders, they're not afraid. And that works out. That's my favorite part about what I teach, because there's no 2 + 2 is 4. There's no, it has to be this way. They learn the skills, what a dynamic is, what a note looks like, and then they get to play it how they feel it.
Right. It's an art. Yep.
Yeah.
I also like how obviously it's real-time feedback. You don't have to wait, a day or 2 to get your assignment back and see how you did.
Right.
You develop an ear, or you have that immediate feedback where they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm not in time," or "I'm out of tune,"
Right.
things like that.
Right.
Um, so, uh, so tell us, we talked a little bit about some, the fourth grade play, for instance. You have other roles in the district when it comes to theater or drama. Would you like to talk about them as well?
So I also do the high school play. Actually, the high school play is the week after the fourth grade play. So February 23rd so we're Thursday to Thursday, is the high school, for lack of a better word, spring play. It's still February, but we tried to get it in before the track season and everything would take all of our kids. So right now, this is my second year again with drama as well. Right now, it's just me, one man show with some awesome high school helpers, and we're hoping to grow that. As we've been practicing in the new space, the new auditorium has been amazing. I finally got keys that work. Third tries the charm. New space, you got to test a lot of keys before you find one that opens the doors. But we actually used the microphones for the first time on Thursday night last week, and just seeing those kids really understanding the gravity, the weight of what was going on, and that this just isn't some little show anymore. Now I have to be responsible for my microphone, and I have to, know how to use it properly. And sorry about the bell. And it's given them a whole new level of ownership. I'm really fortunate that the 8 kids I have in this spring's show were all in the fall show as well. So we're really building that teamwork and community and drama family almost. Several of them have started calling me mom. I keep telling them I am way too young to be your mother. But that's maybe not entirely true, but I'm going to keep telling them that. But it just, the way they work together, and that I can give them ownership in it. And it's not just I'm in charge and you do what I say. I can say, hey, this script says we can choose which scenes we use. There's 3 extra scenes. We can take other scenes out, put in the 3 extras. What do you guys want to do? And they have been fantastic about making these decisions as a team rather than me just being the one in charge. And I'm just so excited to see where they're going to wind up. Just in the few years, they have left in graduation, and, they're learning some really awesome leadership skills in this. And it doesn't hurt to learn how to be on stage in front of people. Those public speaking skills will always come in handy.
Definitely. Another thing I like to talk about is March 24th. That's kind of a big event, the inaugural kind of community showcase performance for the new auditorium. You've been a really integral part of that planning process the last year. Would you like to talk about your part in that, Melanie?
Yeah, so it's been a lot of planning and a lot of meetings, and there's going to be even more. We're moving to 2 a month starting next month, but it's amazing to see all of these people come together, whether they're school employees, community members, whoever they are that has a stake in this auditorium, and to be planning a night that is not about us, but about the community and about showcasing this space. And so I've been put in charge of the elementary concert. So there are 2 concerts right now. One we're calling the elementary concert, and one is the community showcase. And so just planning out, who's going to be up there, what do we need to showcase? We have some unicycle girls from the elementary school who are going to do their thing, because that's been such a big part of what's going on at the elementary for so many years. And then I have, actually right before we did this, I had some 4th graders in here picking songs and practicing. I've got quite a few from the talent show this December that I've pulled that are going to be singing as well. So, but just, everything from making posters to make sure people know to come, to planning what's actually going to happen there. And, the first time we went in the space and realized how big the acoustic shell was, we went, oh, that's not an easy up and down. So we need to decide, is it up or is it down? What are we doing for this concert? Because that's not that's probably an hour setup. That's not going to just happen mid-concert. So we're learning a lot, and it's amazing how much more there is to learn just with how technically advanced our new auditorium space is, and how wonderful that is for this community, that's going to be there for years to come. And because it's cutting edge now, we're not going to look at it in 10 years and go, oh, well, this is all, nobody uses this anymore.
Obsolete, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been really, I could go on and on, but.
I guess the best way I could sum it up is, Randy Pfeiffer, who's been a big part of this as well in the selection and evaluation of the equipment and the planning stages. I mean, this is what Randy does for his side business. And when he said, after 2 or 3 trainings, I said, so what % do you think you're comfortable with? He said, about 0. Yeah. I mean, he goes, this is literally scratching the surface of a giant iceberg. So to hear that, and then to hear you say that, it is incredibly technologically advanced, which is great. That's the way to do it. Plan for the future. And I remember in the very initial planning stages of our auditorium, Brad Holzer, I remember saying this, said this auditorium was going to be the gem of our community. And that certainly has proven true. I couldn't agree more. It's absolutely beautiful, and
beautiful space.
I know part of that planning process is like, how are we gonna do this? It only holds 600. We know we're gonna have more than 600, right. So that's kind of why I broke it into a couple different phases for March 24th, and we saw that the high school, the first Christmas concert, high school December 19th was packed. There were 600 packed. People there in the audience, and then you add 200 plus students participating.
I had former Baldwin students who came. I didn't know they were coming, but I saw them in the audience and said, "What are you here for?" They said, "We had to see it. Had to see the new auditorium.
Build it and they will come."
Absolutely.
Yeah. So will you maybe tell the viewers what the plans are for future elementary concerts? Is the plan to continue to have them at the elementary or the high school, or a little of both?
Well, and that is something we're still in some planning stages on. But the current discussion is that there's going to need to be some changes to bring them over to the high school. To keep doing the combined grade levels, there's not enough seats for everyone. But I do think we need to do them over there. I think that those kids need to experience that space too as soon as possible. So that's my goal, is to get them over there. We'll probably start splitting concerts by grade level. When I did my concerts in Baldwin, I did them at the high school in the auditorium. They had 470 seats in their auditorium. I did individual grade levels, and it was standing room only in the back. So I'm hoping that if I do individual grade levels here with an extra 100 and some seats, that we'll all fit. That's my hope.
Okay, excellent. I like that plan. So kind of as we near the end here, anything we've talked about as far as maybe the vision of your programs, are there still things that we talked about? The concert, for instance, that's one example of a vision, maybe for the space at least. What other visions do you have for your programs, either the elementary music or the plays?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we don't have 2 hours, so I'll keep this short. I want our kids to be as involved as possible in everything that we do. So my vision is to start expanding the high school drama program to involve more behind the scenes kids, more stage crew back there doing curtains, being on the headsets. I'm saying a lot of sorry about that. To have these kids have ownership in what's going on, to teach them how things work and why we do what we do, to start teaching, maybe not quite yet how to use the sound booth and all of that stuff, because we're still learning, but in the future, as we've learned, to get them maybe here's how you program the lights, and to have a club after school that does that, or a whole tech crew within the program that does that, to have kids that are looking at the scripts ahead of time and saying, hey, we want to do this show because this show would show X, Y, Z, and to have reasons why, and to help pick the shows at some point. To have kids be able to start having a one-act week where the kids start picking and rehearsing themselves, and I'm just in the background as help, and having it be their show instead of my show. And doing big musicals. I can't wait. We need a few more kids, and we need some walls on the stage and some props, and we're starting with nothing. But when we start getting some of these big things, we can start doing some big shows. Maybe even there was talk about maybe teaming up with the middle school at some point and doing a really big show. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, as you're talking, it reminded me, Kimmy Pace took her students and took To Kill a Mockingbird and gave them an option to turn it into a play, which they did, and they rehearsed and they performed, last Friday on the stage, in that wonderful new space. And again, that's confirming why we did what we did, again, to offer more unique opportunities for kids, which is, again, what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you want to plug one last time your upcoming events? Yeah,
so Thursday, February 16th, that's 2 shows, 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And then that's the 4th grade play. And then Thursday, February 23rd is the high school play. We do not have the time set for that one yet, but we are looking at doing some performances during the day for the schools and then an evening performance that night for the community.
Play, where will that be at?
Oh, the elementary play is at the elementary school for its last year, because I was not going to take 145 kids to the high school and not know how to use the sound equipment quite yet. So we're getting there. After Thursday night, I feel much more comfortable with the sound equipment. The kids were very patient with me as I was messing with levers and going, okay, I think I can hear you now. Try that one again. So we're getting there. It's just going to take a lot of trial.
Yeah. And then lastly, the March 24th elementary concert and community showcase. And that is in the auditorium.
Yes. And those are 4 and 7:30, I believe, are the times on those. But that's
and the cost
off the top of my head, so that could be wrong.
Okay. Cost of admission?
Of admission for the auditorium opening is free. The cost of admission for the elementary 4th grade play is free, and then the high school play, I believe, is $5.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts as we wrap up?
Oh, I can't even think anymore. Now we're all on this auditorium thing, and I'm going, okay, what sound can I play with tonight? What lights can I play with tonight? How can we? I'm already ready to go play in there again. I guess everyone just needs to check out the new space if they haven't already. And if you happen to wander in while we have play practice, because I know quite a few people have done that after basketball games and stuff, we're not going to bite. We will happily show you around. It's just ask.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Melanie. We covered a lot, and I hope our viewers got a little better insight into elementary music and our drama productions and opportunities for kids. So thank you for taking time to talk to me and our viewers.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.